My guest at this time is going to be competing in the Face of the Revolution ladder match this Sunday night at AEW Revolution. It is Wardlow. Wardlow, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me here today.
How's it going? Sorry.
Yeah, what happened there? What's going on in the
moving
back?
some furniture. Sorry about that. 1 second.
Okay, for those of you that are just listening in audio form, Wardlow is not in a dungeon, which is kind of what it sounds like. He actually
I am. So Wardlow's enjoying his time in Florida, so I am poolside.
Oh, got it.
But sorry, somebody came out there moving the benches around. Sorry about
That's
that.
all right. Don't worry about it. We're catching Wardlow in his natural state here, poolside.
If they do it one more time, I'm going to powerbomb him into the pool.
That's hey, better into a pool than onto a mat. Seems like it gives a little bit more, you know. Well, Wardlow, before we get into the Face of the Revolution and everything else that's going on in your world, I got to get your reaction to the big news Tony dropped last night. We're all still kind of taking it in right now. Tony Khan has bought Ring of Honor. What do you think about this news?
I think it is awesome, just for the world of wrestling in general. We've obviously seen what Tony can do with a product. So I believe Ring of Honor is about to thrive like never before.
Oh yeah, totally. So like, what do you want to see Tony do with this brand? I mean, I don't know about what he's going to do, but what would you like to see happen here?
Man, I would just like to see another quality wrestling product, another, not just another option, but a real option,
Yeah.
like a good option and an enjoyable, entertaining option, an alternative for wrestling. Just something a little different, man. There's so much talent in the business of wrestling, and there's so many free agents. You know, I feel like Ring of Honor is going to be a great place for all of these talented people to go and shine like they deserve.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, what's it been like for you getting to work closely with a soon-to-be Ring of Honor Hall of Famer in CM Punk as of late against you and MJF?
Working with CM Punk has truly been surreal. You know, I've said it before. It's, you know, you get in the business with your list of people you would love to work with, and CM Punk just, you know, didn't exist on that list because that wasn't ever an option.
Right.
That was done and over. You know, that was no possibility of that happening. So for it to be real is, man, just to work with CM Punk, it's just, you know, like I said, something you never thought you'd be able to do. So it's very, very cool.
Not only working with CM Punk, being a part of like his near assassination last night, tons and tons of blood, enough for Max to paint his white shirt red. How is it being in a moment like that, watching this person you've idolized and like being a part of this execution, I guess?
You know, it's a weird thing because I've never been a believer in 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 or people jumping someone. I've been jumped before. Yeah, most of the fights I've been in have never been 1-on-1. It's always been a couple people. But I remember, man, like real life. I remember, you know, a guy at a bar. Me and him got into it, and a buddy of mine blindsided him, and I threw my buddy on the ground, and I said, "Don't you ever hit somebody blindside. I don't care if they're trying to fight me. That you don't do that as a man. You know, you fight people, you know, face to face." So the actions last night, not a fan of.
Not a fan of what happened last night. Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of friction between you and Max as of late. What do you say to fans that expect you to kind of maybe intervene this Sunday night, either on his behalf or maybe like against him?
Yeah, I mean, the thing, there's a lot that people don't know. I'm sure things will start to come to light, you know, about mine and Max's relationship and our business relationship. You know, I am under contract with Max, not AEW. So at the end of the day, he is my boss. There's contract, there's a lot of legal stuff. So it's my job to make sure Max is winning and taken care of. And unfortunately, right now, my hands are kind of tied to that. So,
when's your contract come up, Wardlow?
It seems like he keeps on just adding time on. He seems to.
How does
He has.
happen? How does that happen?
Him and Mark Sterling, they seem to just keep adjusting things and changing things, and Max's legal team somehow makes it happen, and it's been a frustrating thing, but we're trying to get things worked out.
Were you drunk without a lawyer when you signed this thing, Wardlow?
So realistically, I didn't have much of a choice at the time. I was not in the best place when Max came calling. So at the time, the money he was offering, there was really no saying no at the time.
Okay, fair enough. Well, stepping away from kind of the business stuff, the week before he was doing all these heinous things and kicking Punk in the balls and choking him with the dog collar. He got this promo that really set the world on fire. What was your reaction to that and that promo there?
I was surprised, just as everyone else. You don't see that side of Max. I've known Max for a few years now, so I've known about some of those things he spoke about, and I can say, he was being real. But as we saw last night, his true colors came back out, and it's Max for you. Whenever you think he might be a decent person, he reminds you that he's not.
So, so you're saying, and we've heard this from others as well, it's a genuine story. Nobody should expect Max to come out and recant what he said, big shenanigans, right? Is that not your expectation at this point?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of those things, I know some of those things might have had some truth to them. I don't know how far he elaborated them. Sure. I don't know how much he was trying to get in Punk's head or get into people's heads. You really never know with him. You really never know.
So what's it like to be on the receiving end of all of his trash talk? He's very negative towards you. He berates you. How is it just, I know you got a contract, but just as a man, as a person, how is it to have to deal with that kind of verbal abuse?
Unfortunately, I feel like my old job really prepared me for this. And it's almost like it's such a weird thing. I thought I left this job and I left this boss and this toxic atmosphere. And I was going to come into this new being. And I swear I'm in the same position of this horrible boss that treats me like crap and expects the world out of me, with nothing but disrespect in return. So, I'm at that point where it's like, okay, just because this was normal for 10 years of my life doesn't mean I need to continue to accept this. And I just feel like an asshole boss was something I just was so used to. However, last night, a line was crossed. I've never been slapped in the face by anybody.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
More or less my boss. So, I woke up this morning feeling very different. And, I was left to think about a lot last night. And, all I can say is there's a lot going on in my head, and I got a lot of things to figure out.
Well, the slap in the face and the beratement and the way, you've been, sent out to really kind of, I guess, soften up Max's opponents for months on end. And now you're going out and doing this Powerbomb symphony, getting to really show your dominance. There's a real groundswell for you right now. I mean, you can feel it from the fans. People want to see you knock Max's head off right now. What does it mean to you to know that the fans are really starting to be there for you? And there's a lot of talk, not just from fans, but from people I talk to within the industry that view you as somebody that potentially could be a really major player for AEW and just pro wrestling in general here for the next many years.
I appreciate that. you know, if Max and I ever come to terms and the contract is out of the picture and him and I ever go separate ways at some point, and I do become, you know, a part of AEW officially, I truly believe I have every single tool that makes an absolute superstar of a professional wrestler. I truly believe I have the star power that hasn't been seen in this business in over a decade.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that. I mean, you look and you're like an action figure walked out of the packaging. You know, do you look at what, like, you know, I know obviously pro wrestling is your number one passion right now, but you talk about superstar potential. I mean, do you have your sights set beyond pro wrestling with the idea of, you know, maybe leveraging Warner ties to appear on like TV shows or do movies or anything like that? Is that stuff that's you know, on your agenda?
Um, I mean, my only focus right now, I most definitely have tunnel vision on professional wrestling. I have so much to accomplish there, but I'd never say never. And if an opportunity came along for TV or movies or anything, I would absolutely love to jump on that. I recently did some voiceover work for our video game,
Oh yeah.
and I was very taken back by how much I enjoyed that. So I think I would really love to get into doing some voiceover work if an opportunity came.
All right, cool. You got a deep gravelly voice. I could see you working with,
Ah, man, I've been told my whole life that like I need to be doing radio or something. So I feel like I got to do something with
you know, soft jazz after hours with Wardlow
it.
doesn't have like the worst ring for me.
Hey, Powerbomb Symphony, stick with the theme.
Wow, my fiance is an opera singer. I'll let her know that that's something that's on the agenda.
Perfect.
So you are obviously a staple now. Like you know, work for Max, but obviously with AEW, you've been with AEW for a very long time now, and your stock is only continuing to rise. It seems the company's investing in you more, but at the same time, we're kind of hitting a point where some people are kind of fading away. How has it been for you through this transition time, where the company seems to be picking who to put their chips onto? Cutting ties with some, I mean, especially like a Cody. Like, what is it like for you to be around in this time period?
Um, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, of course, I'm here, but also I feel very, very blessed and lucky to be where I'm at. Um, you know, like I said earlier, I truly believe I have the skills and the ability, uh, you know, to be at the top of this business. But at the same time, there's so much competition. I mean, there's such a large roster, there's so much talent. So it doesn't matter how great I think I am, just to be in a position that I am and be on TV almost weekly, I am absolutely blessed to be where I am with so much talent and not even just in AEW, but I mean in wrestling in general. There's so much. So to be where I'm at, you know, I think I deserve to be here, but I'm very lucky to be here.
And with Cody, I mean, you two are in one of the most iconic matches in really, I think, arguably AEW history. I mean, that moonsault from Cody off the top of the cage is going to be one of those things that, regardless of where he signed, is just going to be watched over and over and over again for years. What was your reaction to his decision, or I guess the mutual decision for both parties to kind of part ways?
I was very taken back. Um, I mean, I still am very confused about the whole thing. It's very weird not having his presence backstage. And I'll just say this briefly. As far as Cody goes, I know there's a lot of people that have negative things to say about him. For the few years I've known him and interacted with him, I have had nothing but the best interactions with him. He has been nothing but generous and kind to me and my family. And I've never seen him treat anybody with anything other than respect. I mean, Cody is a true professional. I can only assume the negative comments come from jealousy, um, unless I am missing something serious. But as far as that goes, I hope the best for him and his family, whatever he decides.
How was it? How was it catching him as this giant human 200+ pounder is flying at you from 20 feet in the air?
I'm just happy that he didn't rip my arm out of the socket, because my God, that was a lot of impact.
Yeah, I bet it was. So this time the roles are going to be a little reversed. At the ladder match, Cody was way up high. You were down here. Now there's a chance that you're going to be very, very high climbing this ladder, trying to become the face of the Revolution. Do you have any fear of heights going into the match?
So I'm happy you asked this. I am oddly qualified for this match and experience. I grew up a very big Jeff Hardy fan.
Okay.
So I grew up on ladders. I mean, I was in my backyard climbing and jumping off ladders, my whole life. And I've been in a ladder match before that I was victorious. And it's one of my favorite matches I had on the Indies. A guy with RC Dupree in front of like 20 people. But it was an awesome ladder match, and it's one of my favorite matches. So I know people don't expect the big man to be qualified for a ladder match, but people are going to be a little surprised how fast I move up that ladder.
Well, you mentioned how you grew up a big Jeff Hardy fan. I mean, obviously nothing's in stone or anything like that, but what would it mean to you to be able to share a locker room with Jeff Hardy?
It'd be absolutely surreal. To be in the same company as Jeff Hardy, absolutely surreal and a dream come true.
Yeah, well, the locker room is an interesting place right now. Like I said, a lot of people coming and going. You got a bunch of new additions to the roster that are, one of which is going to be competing against you here in the ladder match. Keith Lee, man. What are your thoughts on Keith Lee, I guess, in general, just joining AEW?
So what?
Fair enough.
He's just another body that I got to go through. I know he did great things elsewhere, but he's here now. So I don't care what your name is. I don't care where you came from. You're in my world now. So cool if he can bring some new fans to the product. Awesome. But things are a little different in AEW, and he's going to find that out Sunday.
Yeah, how is it just in general for you? Not just Lee, but now Adam Cole, Red Dragon, these guys that you all were competing against head to head here not long ago have started making their way into the locker room. Is that kind of surreal? Is another day at the office? Like, how do you feel about that?
Acquiring someone like an Adam Cole is huge for us. Now, I will say, being an AEW original, these guys coming in from the other place and taking spots, that's something that gives me just a little extra motivation when I'm laying in those power bombs to remind everyone whose house it really is.
Yeah, I mean, has it kind of dawned on you that you lived through the Wednesday Night War as like an AEW OG in many ways? It kind of came out on the other side the winner. Does that ever hit you?
Dude, it hit me so big at the time, because I grew up, that was peak wrestling. When I was a kid, it was the Monday Night Wars. What a time to be alive. What a time to be a fan. So to finally be in the business that I scratched and clawed for so long, and it just happened to time up to where now I am a part of a new age Wednesday Night War. It's just, man, manifestation is very real, and just how life works is mind-blowing.
Well, there's two individuals that seem to have a little of advantage in this match. Hobbs and Starks, both in here, obviously both part of Team Taz. What do you think that dynamic kind of brings to the match fans are going to get to see here this Sunday night?
Yeah, not your typical ladder match, huh? With a bunch of high flyers, and it's a lot of big men in a ladder match, which I don't know if we've ever really seen something like that.
Yeah.
So I think with the three of us and Starks and whoever else, it is going to be pure mayhem. I mean, it's going to be a wild ride, and I think there's going to be a lot of violence.
All right, last question here while I have you. The TNT title has defined so many AEW stars. What kind of a TNT champion do you see yourself as if you come out through this and go on to win the title?
The best TNT champion.
Fair enough.
the longest reigning TNT champion.
Fair enough. All right. Hey, Wardlow, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me here today. Best of luck this weekend at AEW Revolution. I'll be there in person. Is there anything you want to put over here before we wrap up today?
Nothing, just Revolution. The ladder match alone is worth the ticket, is worth the drive, is worth the pay-per-view buy. But the whole show, head to toe, is going to be insane. So it is a must-see event Sunday.